55 here. I'm going to separate out my blue egg phoenixes in these double stack 55s. And this is how I fill my tanks. I have one of those poly stretch hoses, and I pop that in and clamp it down so it doesn't blow right out. Had that happen one too many times. So, and then a couple other things I just consider a must-have for a fish room if you're going to have a true fish room. Something to fill and drain. So like this is one of those siphon ones. And I attached a pump to it. I do have my fish room plumbed. As you can see, I have a pipe running through here, and I have my stock tanks drilled so I can just drop the hose in and drain them. But like the new 300, I don't have it drilled yet, so I can just drop this in, or these tanks, drop this in and pump it out, and then pop the hose in there to fill it back up. The reason I drilled my tanks in that is this summer I actually put a siphon in there and I over drained it in the summer heat and lost one of my Amy Shanka calicos because it was left high and dry in the heat. And I'm like, I'm never having that happen again. So I plumbed and drained all my fish tanks so I could never over drain them, and I could just pop them out. Plus it's a lot easier. I can drain them down and walk away and not have to worry that I'm going to over drain the tank. So, and the pumps, these pumps, they'll only go down so far. They won't completely drain it. But the problem was it was out in the summer heat and with 2 inches of water. And so another thing that's really important if you have a fish room is obviously a shop vac, because if you have multiple tanks, you're going to end up with a flood. I can't say how many times enough that I have flooded this room, and the worst one was 120 gallons out in the front room, and I had to rip the carpet up. So a shop vac is a must. Easier water change, because if you have to do buckets, you're going to put off water changes and then your fish are going to suffer. I do 75% water changes on all these tanks twice a week, because that's your best way of limiting your nitrates, keeping your water quality good. And if you're doing it by buckets or something that's stressful, when you're not feeling good or something, you're not going to want to do it, and then your water quality can get out of control, and that's when you have issues. So an easy water change system is a must for a fish room. Towels. I splash water all the time. I have, just junky, Goodwill worthy, non-matching, a stack of towels. Just so if I splish splash, I can throw it on the ground and soak it up. The last thing that's really, a must is something to separate out your fish if you have to. So this is just like a $10 tub from the feed mill. It's like a smaller version of the stock tanks, basically. And if I need to take the fish out or separate them or set them off to the side, it's deep enough to keep them in there. You're just going to want a bucket. Look, I'm going to overflow this tank right now. But those are just a couple of my must-haves for a fish room. A bucket to hold your fish if you got to take them out, towels, a shop vac, and an easy water change system. I'm sure there's a couple, the Sterilite tubs that I keep going on and on about, that also, because if you have to quarantine sick fish. So I'm moving these down because this was a storage, I'm trying to talk over flowing water. This was a storage back room, and I'm taking all the storage out basically to turn it into my fish room. Every wall down here was filled with stuff from 30 years of hoarding. Not me. I'm just going to say that right now, not me. I hoard goldfish, not other stuff. But I'm going to be taking down the last thing and hopefully putting some double stacked 120s for actually displaying fish. And then I have my quarantine system already down there set up for if I have to quarantine fish. So I guess a quarantine area, the tubs work really good and easy. Tubs, towels, shop vac, and an easy water change system. That's an absolute must to have a fish room.